I remember a moment vividly, standing in my kitchen, staring out the window, feeling this strange mix of frustration and exhaustion. For weeks, I had been pushing forward, chasing after new opportunities, trying to build something solid, something that felt meaningful. Yet, no matter how much effort I poured in, a persistent nagging shadow clouded my mind. It was always about what I still didn't have. I'd achieve a small victory, a little win that should have felt like progress, but somehow, my brain just jumped right past it. Instead, it raced straight to what was missing, to what still hadn't materialized. It was as if I had this invisible tap that kept turning on, pouring fuel onto the fire of dissatisfaction. No matter how many steps I took forward, I felt like I was standing still, because my focus was always on the missing piece. Do you know that feeling? That constant awareness of what's lacking? Sometimes it's subtle, almost a whisper in the background of your mind. Other times, it's a loud, deafening voice that echoes, reminding you of everything you haven't yet achieved. It's like living with a lens permanently zoomed in on the gaps, the absences, the voids. And I used to believe, well, maybe we all do, that this is just human nature, that it's normal to want more, to feel incomplete. But the truth is, I was trapping myself in a cycle I didn't even see clearly until one day, I caught myself doing it again. There I was, obsessively counting what I didn't have, instead of appreciating what I already did. That moment changed everything for me. It hit me that my mind was like a magnet, pulling in more of the same, based on what I was continually directing my attention toward. I realized that my focus, my energy, and my feelings were all aligned with scarcity, with lack. And because of this, it felt almost impossible to break free from that cycle. No matter how hard I worked, I kept feeling like I was missing something crucial to unlock the next level of my life. Whatever progress I made seemed insignificant compared to that nagging feeling of unworthiness, of not having enough. But here's the fascinating part. What if I told you that this constant fixation on what's missing is precisely what keeps us stuck? That what you focus on with your thoughts and feelings acts as a magnet, drawing more of the same into your reality. I started to see how my mind was wired to chase after the next thing, never truly appreciating what I had right now. I began to understand that my perception of lack was creating a wall, a barrier blocking abundance from flowing freely into my life. It wasn't about having more in the traditional sense. It was about a shift, a different way of seeing, feeling, and being. It was about changing the internal conversation I was having with myself. I had to learn how to see value in what was already present, how to recognize the small victories, because those are the real building blocks of a solid, abundant life. The challenge was that this shift didn't come overnight. It required me to become aware of my mental habits, to catch myself when I was slipping into that scarcity mindset, and to start retraining my focus into gratitude, into appreciation for all that I had already manifested. And through this process, I discovered something powerful, something that transformed not just my mindset, but my entire life. I learned that gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling or a polite thank you. It's a tool, a true mechanism that keeps the flow of abundance moving. It's the secret ingredient that unlocks the next level. But here's what many never tell you. It takes practice. It takes intentional effort to rewire your brain, to shift your focus from what's missing to what's already there. And once you begin to do that, you start noticing those cracks in your perception, those moments when your mind naturally gravitates toward appreciation instead of scarcity. I want you to think about that for a moment. Because if you're anything like me, your mind probably jumps straight into what's lacking, right? It's almost like a reflex. But imagine if you could train yourself to see and feel the abundance that's already present in your life. Imagine noticing your small wins, recognizing the progress you've made, and truly appreciating it, allowing that appreciation to fill you up. Because I can tell you from experience, nothing shifts in your life until this shift in perception happens. When you start acknowledging what you already have, when you genuinely feel grateful for your current blessings, that's when the flow begins to switch gears. That's when abundance starts rushing in, carrying new opportunities and resources right to your doorstep. This isn't some distant promise. It's a practical truth I've learned, and I want to show you how to experience it too. Because the moment you realize that your focus is your greatest power, that your gratitude can be a magnet, everything begins to change. And the first step is simply becoming aware. noticing where your mind tends to drift, tuning into what you're really feeling, and asking yourself, am I appreciating what I have right now? Or am I still caught up in the chase? Because once you understand this, your entire approach to prosperity shifts, and you unlock a level of abundance that was always right there, waiting for you to recognize it. As I delved deeper into this shift, I started to see that cultivating gratitude is akin to tending a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and expect a harvest without ongoing care. It requires consistency, attention, and intentionality. Each moment you pause to recognize your blessings, no matter how small, is like watering a delicate sprout. Over time, these small acts accumulate into a thriving landscape of abundance within you. However, it's easy to overlook the subtle growth because external circumstances often dominate your awareness. Instead of acknowledging progress, your focus remains fixated on what's still pending. That's why it's crucial to develop a cultivated awareness, one that scans your daily experiences for moments worth celebrating. Now, consider how this perspective transforms when you begin to see challenges as hidden gifts rather than obstacles. When setbacks occur, they often seem like confirmations of lack, something to dread or complain about. But trying to see these moments differently is a game changer. Instead of viewing difficulties as final, start noticing the lessons, opportunities, or even the quiet reminders of what you're capable of overcoming. It's like shifting from being a passenger in a turbulent storm to becoming the captain navigating through it. This active role empowers you and rewires your response to adversity. Because, in reality, even those uncomfortable experiences serve as catalysts that nudge you toward deeper levels of growth and understanding. Furthermore, incorporating specific actions into your routine amplifies this inner recalibration. For example, writing down 3 things that worked well each day might seem simple, but it creates a pattern of acknowledgement. When you make this a daily necessity, you send a clear signal to yourself that abundance isn't something distant or reserved for others. Instead, it's something you actively notice, claim, and celebrate. Over time, this practice deepens your realization that wealth is not solely about material possessions, although that's part of it. It's also about emotional richness, resilience, and the sense of fulfillment that grows from gratitude. This layered perspective dismantles old beliefs that prosperity is scarce or limited, replacing them with a vibrant realization. There's always enough, and it's already within reach. Another essential aspect involves the way you speak about your reality. Words carry vibrational energy, a force that shapes your experience. When conversations revolve around what's missing or what's not happening fast enough, they reinforce a cycle of despair and stagnation. Conversely, framing your words around what's abundant within your grasp, using affirmative language, generates momentum. I learned that even in moments of apparent scarcity, choosing phrases like, I am grateful for what I have already created, or more opportunities are flowing to me daily, acts as a compass guiding you toward a prosperous state. This conscious reinvention of language influences emotional frequency, aligning it with the energy of wealth and satisfaction. It's a powerful reminder that your words are not just sounds. They are magnetic forces shaping what arrives in your life. Building on these ideas, it's vital to recognize that gratitude extends beyond internal feelings. It's about establishing energetic boundaries that reinforce abundance. Imagine your focus as a spotlight. What you consistently illuminate becomes your reality's dominant feature. If your attention is constantly drawn to lack, that becomes the story you live by. But if you deliberately shift your spotlight onto moments of triumph, no matter how minor, you begin rewriting that script. One practical way to do this is through deliberate mental reframing throughout your day. For instance, when encountering a delay or disappointment, quickly recall a past victory or a recent gratitude note, something that reaffirmed your worth and potential. This process trains you to seek out positives, even during challenging times, effectively building a mental fortress of abundance that no external event can easily break. This process also involves tuning into your emotional landscape with precision. Feelings act as the fuel for manifestation. They are the currency of your vibrational economy. When you experience joy, excitement, or a deep sense of satisfaction, you're broadcasting a signal to the universe that you are open and ready to receive more. Conversely, Lingering feelings of frustration or discouragement only repel new blessings. That's why developing awareness of emotional states is crucial. When a negative emotion arises, instead of suppressing it, acknowledge it without judgment. Then, consciously choose a thought or memory that triggers a more uplifted feeling, perhaps a moment of gratitude or hope. This deliberate emotional shift acts as a clearing mechanism, clearing the path for fresh, abundant opportunities to flow effortlessly. Remember, the mechanics of manifestation are rooted in the vibrational alignment between your feelings and your desires. Finally, integrating these practices into daily life becomes an act of deliberate craftsmanship. It's about creating a rhythm, a new way of engaging with everyday experiences so that abundance becomes a natural, effortless part of your existence. One effective method is to set an intention each morning. Simply state, "Today, I will notice and feel gratitude for the blessings already present in my life." This becomes your guiding principle, a daily declaration that rewires your focus for the hours ahead. As you move through your day, bring awareness to the small, often overlooked moments, like the warmth of a cup of coffee, a kind word from someone close, or the simple act of breathing in fresh air. Each of these instances offers a chance to deepen your appreciation and reinforce your new vibrational foundation. Building this as a habitual practice strengthens your capacity to see abundance everywhere, not just in material things, but in every facet of life. The result? You begin to experience a continuous flow, a stream of opportunities, relationships, and resources that feel like they're aligning to support your highest good. Because the truth is, prosperity is less about the external conditions you encounter and more about your internal state. When you cultivate a resilient sense of gratitude, you unlock the gateway to an ever-expanding universe of abundance, waiting to reveal itself at just the right moment. Building upon that awareness, I started to recognize the subtle ways my attention could either reinforce scarcity or invite abundance. It wasn't simply about noticing blessings, but actively choosing to nurture a mindset that allowed prosperity to flow. I realized that energy isn't static. It's a dynamic current that shifts depending on what resonates deepest within us. When I anchored my thoughts on gratitude, I felt a different vibrational charge, lighter, more expansive, creating space for new opportunities to surface naturally, as if the universe was eager to fulfill that intention. It's also about how we interpret our experiences. Two people might face the same situation. One sees a setback as proof of inadequacy, while the other views it as a valuable lesson or a redirection. The difference lies in perception. I learned that cultivating an optimistic lens wasn't just about turning a blind eye to difficulties, but about actively reframing challenges as stepping stones. That mindset shift transforms hurdles from barriers into launchpads, positioning us better for future success. It's similar to changing the lens of a camera. When you switch to a clearer, more vibrant filter, everything becomes more vivid, more aligned with what you want. Now, consider how this plays into the daily dialogue we hold with ourselves. Our internal conversations act like seeds planted deep in fertile soil. What we nurture grows. If many of us habitually affirm limitations or dwell on what's lacking, those ideas take root and flourish. But if we consciously replace those inner narratives with empowering truths, such as, "I am worthy," "abundance is my natural state," or "more than enough is flowing to me," those affirmations become energetic anchors, stabilizing us in a vibration of prosperity. This practice isn't superficial. It's a fundamental shift in how we relate to our worth and potential. Imagine a gardener planting deliberate seeds of positivity in a patch laden with weeds. That's what deliberate mental cultivation resembles. Furthermore, there's a transformative power in visualizing not just what we want, but how the environment around us responds when we're in a state of gratitude. I often picture how a warm, golden light emanates from within, radiating outward, filling every corner of my reality. I imagine the sense of ease and confidence that blossoms when I acknowledge my progress, no matter how small. This isn't about wishful thinking, but about invoking a genuine emotional tone, an authentic feeling that affirms, "This is already mine." When I do this consistently, I notice how the sensations ripple outward, attracting similar vibrations into my experience. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency, and suddenly everything sounds clearer and more harmonious. Another layer worth exploring involves the subtle choice of activities and environments that reinforce prosperity consciousness. Small shifts, such as engaging with inspiring material, surrounding oneself with uplifting people, or performing acts of generosity, act as energetic reinforcements, amplifying the vibrations of abundance. These aren't arbitrary actions. They are deliberate signals sent into the universe that life is operating from a place of overflow, that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. When I commit to these daily practices, I feel like I'm creating a ripple effect that continuously elevates my energetic signature, making me more receptive to the good that's already unfolding. Building on that, I found that it's equally vital to protect this mental and emotional space from disruptions. This means consciously choosing media consumption, conversations, and environments that uplift rather than drain. When negative influences seep in, they can cloud the vibrational atmosphere I've carefully cultivated. Therefore, I use boundaries, declaring what types of interactions nourish my growth and which ones diminish it. It's similar to tending a garden. Removing weeds or pruning dead branches allows the healthiest parts to flourish. By maintaining this inner sanctuary, I reinforce the habit of focusing on what expands rather than contracts. This vigilance creates a resilient foundation so that the practice of gratitude becomes a natural reflex, not just a fleeting gesture. Finally, understanding that dedication to this way of thinking acts like a muscle, strengthened through consistent effort, transforms the entire process. It's not about sporadic moments of positivity, but about establishing a rhythm, a steady heartbeat of appreciation. When you make this an ongoing discipline, you begin to see opportunities where once there was only difficulty. You start to notice the abundance in moments that previously seemed insignificant. This perspective shift is like tuning into a more intentional frequency. Suddenly, everything feels more aligned, more harmonious, and more promising. The universe responds with a kind of supportive echo, echoing back the energy you've intentionally cultivated and opening doors that previously appeared closed. As I immersed myself in nurturing this mindset, I discovered an overlooked but powerful principle: the importance of emotional congruence. It's one thing to think positively or declare gratitude consciously, but it's entirely different to genuinely feel aligned with those affirmations. The gap between superficial affirmation and authentic emotional experience creates a kind of dissonance that weakens the impact of our intentions. I realized that cultivating true feelings of appreciation, deep, visceral sensations, acts as the spark that ignites manifesting energy. It's akin to tuning a musical instrument precisely. If the strings are out of harmony, the note will never ring true. When I learned to evoke feelings of abundance, no matter the circumstances, I noticed my reality begin to shift, almost imperceptibly at first, then more rapidly as this alignment solidified. Another dimension I uncovered involves the contrast between reactive and intentional states of being. Often, we move through daily life responding automatically to external triggers, comments, setbacks, mundane frustrations, without a conscious awareness of how these reactions influence our inner ecosystem. I started to realize that true power lies in choosing deliberate states, regardless of external chaos. This is like steering a ship through turbulent waters. If the sailor is unsteady and reactive, the vessel will veer wildly. However, if the captain maintains a centered, purposeful course, the ship retains its direction effortlessly. Cultivating a steady emotional baseline, anchored in gratitude, becomes a form of silent resistance to fluctuations that otherwise drain our energetic reservoir. Building this internal steadiness requires consistent practice, but it pays off by preserving the vital flow of inspiration and opportunities during unpredictable times. Consider also the dynamics of internal storytelling. The narratives we tell ourselves about worthiness or deservedness are rarely constructed from careful reflection. More often, they are habitual scripts rooted in childhood programming, societal conditioning, or past failures. Recognizing this, I began to see that rewriting these internal scripts acts as another lever to accelerate manifestation. It's like replacing faulty wiring in a home. Once corrected, electrical flow becomes smooth and reliable. Replacing limiting dialogues with empowering alternatives transforms the mental landscape. Instead of thinking, I can't afford this, I would reframe as, I am attracting precisely what I need at the perfect time. The process involves careful awareness, noticing the automatic thoughts that perpetuate scarcity and deliberately substituting them with ones that reinforce abundance. This mental reprogramming is a practice I continue to refine daily, and the difference it makes echoes in every new opportunity that arrives unexpectedly. Furthermore, I learned that actions taken in alignment with our intentions amplify their effect. Yes, visualization, affirmations, and gratitude cultivate a vibrational state, but they must be complemented by inspired steps. These are subtle nudges or creative inspirations that seem to come from nowhere yet, in actuality, emerge from inner clarity. It's comparable to planting a seed and then recognizing the signs of sprouting. Sometimes, a quick insight or a chance encounter is all it takes to set powerful momentum into motion. When these inspired impulses are followed without hesitation, they reinforce our vibrational alignment and serve as evidence that we are in harmony with our desires. It's as if the universe's response becomes a reflection, showing up precisely in the form of these intuitive leads. At the same time, I found that patience is an underrated virtue, an essential ingredient that prevents frustration from sabotaging progress. There's often an urge to demand immediate change, but premature forcing creates resistance rather than flow. Trusting that what is unfolding has a timing that surpasses our logical understanding allows activation of deeper layers of abundance. Think of it like planting a garden. You water, nurture, and wait patiently as life slowly emerges. Rushing or obsessing cuts off the natural rhythm. Surrendering to the process invites opportunities that you couldn't have anticipated. During these waiting periods, maintaining a state of quiet gratitude and expectation keeps the energy pristine for when the right conditions finally align. The calm assurance that everything is happening as it should is often what attracts the most beneficial developments into our experience. Finally, as I deepen this path, I realize that cultivating appreciation must extend beyond times of ease to include challenges or setbacks. These moments often serve as crucial teachers rather than failures. Instead of viewing setbacks as proof of unworthiness or unluckiness, I started to recognize them as catalysts that push growth. Embracing this perspective transforms adversity into an active participant in creating abundance. When faced with difficulty, I consciously shift focus from the problem to the growth opportunity embedded within it. This might mean asking myself, what valuable lesson am I meant to learn here? Or how can I use this experience to strengthen my resilience? By doing so, I leverage obstacles as stepping stones toward a richer, more resilient energetic state, one that magnetizes even more positive circumstances. Applying this approach consistently helps me build a foundation where gratitude is a spontaneous response rather than a conscious effort. It becomes an instinct, a way of being that radiates outward, streamlining the process of manifesting what I desire. This shift from seeking externally to cultivating internally creates a fertile ground for abundance to flourish in every corner of life, often in unexpected ways. The more I nourish this internal landscape with genuine appreciation and calm patience, the more fluid my experience of prosperity becomes, like a river that carves its own path, effortless and unstoppable. Reflecting on this journey so far, I see how each insight has woven into a complex tapestry of understanding, not as isolated threads, but as interconnected strands that reinforce and elevate one another. This process feels less like piecing together fragments and more like tuning a finely crafted instrument. Every adjustment, every subtle shift, influences the harmony of the whole. It's as if I've been slowly recalibrating my inner lens, fine-tuning perception until a new clarity emerges, one where scarcity no longer clouds the view, and possibility stretches infinitely in every direction. Through these explorations, I've come to recognize a deeper truth. The narrative we tell ourselves about what's attainable is the blueprint that shapes our entire experience. It's akin to planting seeds. Only in this case, the soil is our subconscious, receptive, and eager. When notions of unworthiness or limitation are cultivated, they flourish, becoming the foundation of our realities. Conversely, areas steeped in appreciation foster resilience. Layers of gratitude build a pathway for opportunities to manifest with less resistance. It's as if we're crafting a mental landscape, carving out pathways that naturally lead toward abundance, and each thought or feeling acts as a pebble influencing the carve. There's also an elegant dance between acknowledgement and surrender. To recognize our achievements, however modest, is to honor the process of growth. To trust in the unfolding, without clinging to specific outcomes, is an act of bold faith that releases the tension of striving. It's in balancing these forces, affirming what is already present while remaining receptive to what's yet to come, that we find ourselves traversing a terrain where effort and ease coexist. Like a river flowing effortlessly around obstacles, movement becomes a matter of fluidity rather than force, guided by a natural rhythm that hints at a deeper intelligence orchestrating everything. This awareness has prompted me to reframe not just my outlook, but the very way I engage with life's unfolding story. It's no longer about pushing against the current in hopes of forcing a breakthrough. Instead, I see the power in softening, in aligning with the subtle movements that carry us forward. Think of a sailor who learns the language of the wind and adjusts the sails accordingly. There's poetry in trusting these unseen currents to deliver us to the desired harbor. The challenge lies in cultivating a patience that doesn't default to doubt, but instead embodies a deep, unwavering confidence in the process. That kind of trust doesn't diminish action. It transforms it into inspired movement, fluid and inviting rather than tense and reactive. In this space, the act of giving takes on new significance. It's no longer a mere gesture of generosity, but an energetic exchange that renews the flow of abundance. When we open ourselves to sharing freely, whether knowledge, kindness, or resources, we reinforce the idea that circulation is natural and spontaneous. In fostering a sense of union with what surrounds us, we set in motion something more potent than individual effort alone. The recognition that we're part of a larger, interconnected flow that responds to genuine openness. The beauty of this realization is that it dissolves the illusion of separation, replacing it with the understanding that supporting others enriches not only their lives, but reaffirms the well-being of our shared experience. Amidst these reflections, I notice how the act of letting go, of attachment, of the need for control, becomes a silent but powerful catalyst. When the mind releases its grip on how things should happen, a spaciousness opens within. That openness allows new possibilities to emerge naturally, unforced, and authentic. It's comparable to creating a clearing in a dense forest, clearing enough room for sunlight to pour through and plants to grow unimpeded. This spaciousness invites a fresh perspective, an awareness that everything is happening in perfect alignment even when it's invisible to our immediate senses. In the end, what resonates most profoundly is the realization that all the principles we've explored are facets of a single, profound truth, that the wellspring of prosperity lies within, awaiting recognition and deliberate cultivation. It's a dynamic, living force that responds to our genuine heart's intention, cultivating growth from within in a way that strengthens our entire experience. As I integrate these insights, I sense that we're merely on the cusp of a more conscious awareness, a moment where internal clarity ignites external manifestations in ways that surpass anything we could have imagined. This understanding opens the door not just to transient success, but to an ongoing, deeply rooted richness that flows from knowing we are inherently connected to a boundless source of abundance. As I reflect on everything I've learned, it becomes clear that true abundance is less a destination and more a way of perceiving life itself. It's about shifting from viewing the world through a lens of scarcity to recognizing the endless supply that always exists beneath the surface. This shift isn't merely intellectual, it's deeply visceral. It challenges the ingrained stories we carry, those narratives that tell us we're separate from what we desire, that success is a distant, fragile thing. Instead, I see now that the harmony lies in aligning internally with a profound sense of worthiness and appreciation. When I truly feel gratitude for what I already have, a spaciousness opens within me, as if I am tuning into a frequency that naturally draws blessings and opportunities. That sense of openness becomes a fertile ground for growth, because it allows the flow to move more freely through every area of life. The beauty of this realization is that it invites a gentle surrender. No longer do I need to chase after external validations or force situations into place. Instead, developing trust in the timing and unfolding of life begins to feel natural, an effortless dance between intention and allowance. It's like learning to surf. Instead of trying to control each wave, I learn to ride it, feeling the rhythm beneath and moving with it rather than against it. With patience and a calm heart, I allow the natural currents of abundance to carry me forward, knowing that what's meant for me is already in motion. This confidence is rooted in the understanding that my state of being is the most powerful tool I possess. It's a subtle art of continuous realignment, nudging my inner landscape to mirror the prosperity I wish to experience. In expanding my awareness, I've come to see that meaningful change does not demand massive leaps all at once, but rather a series of mindful steps. Each moment of appreciation, each intention set in harmony with my true self, acts as a brick in building a more resilient, vibrant foundation. These are not grand gestures, but small, deliberate acts that accumulate, creating a ripple effect I can feel deep within. I've learned to recognize the signs of the shifts, those quiet nudges, unexpected opportunities, or gentle affirmations that remind me I am on the right track. And there is power in trusting those signs, knowing they are reflections of alignment rather than coincidence. Once I began to acknowledge the subtle indicators of movement, my patience deepened and the sensation of flow became more palpable. It's also essential to understand how limiting beliefs and conditioned doubts serve as invisible barriers. They often operate without our conscious awareness, whispering stories that diminish our confidence and dim the light of possibility. By cultivating awareness around those stories, questioning their validity, and reimagining them, I begin to dismantle the mental wiring that keeps me tethered to scarcity. Replacing doubt with a quiet affirmation of my innate worth creates a new internal environment, one that invites possibility rather than denies it. This internal work transforms the way I approach challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable, I see them as opportunities to refine my understanding of abundance and resilience. Slowly, I start perceiving setbacks as merely pauses, momentary moments of pause before the next surge of growth. As I incorporate these insights into daily life, I realize that a conscious attitude of gratitude isn't a fleeting act of courtesy, but a way of anchoring myself in a state of energetic harmony. Every breath, every thought of appreciation rewires my perception, amplifying the vibration of possibility and attracting more of what I cherish. When I view every experience through this lens, life begins to reveal itself as an exquisite garden, full of hidden treasures waiting to be acknowledged. Wonders unfold unexpectedly, and little miracles become part of my everyday fabric. I notice that the smallest shift in perception can spark a profound change, that the most powerful transformations often begin with a single, sincere moment of gratitude. Ultimately, what I've come to understand deep within is that abundance is a reflection of inner harmony. It's living in a state where appreciation flows naturally, a vibration that resonates outward and draws in abundance in countless unexpected ways. Embracing this idea invites a sense of peace, knowing that I am always supported, always connected to an unlimited source. It encourages me to cherish each moment, to celebrate small victories, and to trust that the flow will carry everything I need to me in perfect timing. My greatest realization is that the keys to prosperity have always been inside, a mindset rooted in gratitude, trust, and a gentle awareness. When I nurture those qualities in myself, everything else begins to fall into place, effortlessly, beautifully, and in perfect harmony with the rhythm of life.